Here's network marketing, and it's 7.5.
That is not correct.
In November 2020, MLM guru Tim Sales claimed in a video on his YouTube channel that 7.5% of MLMers make $50,000 or more. He did not cite any sources to back up this claim, and when I commented on his video asking him to please cite his sources, this happened.
Oh yeah, dude, he deleted your comment. Because here's a reply to you right here. And
Wait, he deleted it?
There's no comment from you before.
Oh
Okay.
No. Oh my gosh, I think all my comments are gone.
Did he delete all your comments? That is so rude.
And you want to know why? Because I asked him several times, because in his video, he mentions how actually the true success rate of MLMs is that 7.5% of MLMers make $50,000 or more.
Uh-huh.
And I asked him several times if he could please provide a link to that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure that's why.
One.
He doesn't have one. Oh, that makes me so mad.
That
okay,
is so
this video has to get out there because it's basically just suppressing things that, he's just doing suppression. I'm very, very upset right now because, like, seriously, this is just him suppressing things that he doesn't want people to see.
This guy's claiming he's like open to, I can handle every objection, I'm open to discussion, and then you delete the comments. So, sounds like you're lying.
To this day, all my comments on his videos are hidden from public view. To provide a bit of context, Tim Sales is a top distributor for a health and nutrition MLM called RX, which was recently acquired by another MLM called New Age. Tim also produces training and educational content on his YouTube channel for those in the MLM industry. And for the last year or so, he's dedicated many of his videos to addressing the criticisms of the anti-MLM movement. In the same video where he claimed that 7.5% of reps make $50,000 or more, he also used in the thumbnail of his video a picture of one of my favorite anti-MLM YouTubers, Savy from Savy Writes Books. Because he used Savy's picture in his thumbnail, many of us in the anti-MLM community watched his video when it premiered, and we left comments. I left several comments asking him to disclose where he got this 7.5% stat from, which seemed to ultimately lead him to blocking me from commenting on his channel. Before I continue, my video today is, of course, in collaboration with Savy. Over on her channel, we go over more of the details of the entire situation, and Savy even attempts to use her sleuthing skills to get income data from New Age directly. I highly suggest you guys check out her video after you're done watching mine. A link to it will be in the description and the comments below. Around the time that all of this was happening, Savy, myself, and a few others took to Twitter to discuss the situation, and Tim ended up seeing our conversation because he was added to the thread. He then responded with the following. The source of the income stat I've quoted, 7.5% of reps earn $50,000 or more, comes from a network marketing company I work closely with. This company will be publicly traded in estimated late March, and you can extract the data then. You're welcome to PM me at that time to get the company name. I have consulted with over 200 such companies, and I can say that this stat may go up or down a little per company based on products, compensation plan, and available training, but industry-wide, we're in the ballpark. I took a mental note of his promise to have the data by late March, as did many other anti-MLMers. And as the March deadline approached, people began reaching out to Tim for the data. Tim didn't reply to anyone who reached out to him on Twitter, and in at least one case, he blocked someone who was asking for the data. Since he wasn't responding to anyone on Twitter, I decided I would send him an old-fashioned email. I produce and host the Antibot on YouTube. If you recall, several months ago, you and I, along with Savvy Writes Books, had a brief exchange on Twitter in which you claimed that 7.5% of distributors earn $50,000 or more in an undisclosed company that you work closely with, and that this stat is for the most part accurate of the 200 MLM companies you have consulted with. When I asked you if you could link me to the stat or income disclosure, you claimed that the data for this would be available by late March and that I was welcome to contact you then for this information. Today is March 29th and the end of the month is quickly approaching. I'm contacting you to see if the data is available, and if it is, if you would kindly link or forward me the data. My email was replied to on April 1st by a customer service representative who said the following. I appreciate you reaching out and your genuine interest in the data. We've got a lot going on here between some company acquisitions and product releases. We're all hands on deck. I'm working to get you the info you need. Thanks for your patience. I will be in touch soon. This response was a bit bizarre to me, but I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt, so I replied and said I'd stand by for the data and follow up if I hadn't heard back. Their response did seem bizarre though, because if the data did in fact exist, Tim obviously had access to it months prior when he quoted the data in his video. The data must have already been compiled and it was just a matter of releasing it to the public. So the excuse that they were too busy with company acquisitions and product releases to release the data didn't seem to make sense to me. Although they didn't specify this, I assumed that the company they referenced was New Age, especially with the reference to company acquisitions. I would definitely expect an MLM company like New Age that claims to offer people business opportunities to prioritize something like an income disclosure statement over new product releases. I mean, in my opinion, if you're claiming your company has income opportunities, wouldn't you as a company be anxious to show the world how much your reps are making? But as we've seen, MLMs don't like to make this information public, and they've even lobbied out laws that would legally require them to disclose this information. On April 15th, I sent a follow-up email asking again for the data, and I received no response. Then on April 22nd, I emailed for a third time and informed them that I was intending on making a video discussing this situation. They replied with the following. Thanks for checking in. I wanted to let you know that we reached out to the executive at the company that prepared the numbers and presented them to Tim. We're just waiting to hear back from them to get the numbers. Once we have them in hand, we can prepare a white paper or report that shows how the data was acquired so that the claims Tim has made can be supported. We're happy to share the data once we get it. Once the company made the switch from a private company to publicly traded last month, it opens the doors for these numbers to be released. I'm anxious to get them. We'll keep you posted with any new developments. I did appreciate that they were keeping me informed of what was going on internally with the company, but at the same time, it seemed like their excuses were gradually shifting. At first, they said it was because they were too busy with other things to release the data, and then it seemed like they were blaming it on the executive who hadn't released the numbers yet. Obviously, I don't know for sure what was, and I guess still is, going on behind the scenes, but what I do know is, as I'm writing this script for this video, it's April 27th, a month after Tim claimed the data would be available, and we've heard nothing. There's no data. I sent one final email to them and said the following. I understand. I'm still going to move forward with the video, but if we do end up receiving those numbers, I will be sure to produce some sort of follow-up and include that information. My goal is to be as transparent as possible, so if we do end up receiving that data, I want to make that transparent to my audience. It would be great if Tim's claims could be supported, but that being said, it's distressing to me that he made a claim without having the data in hand to support that claim, and still months later, the data is unavailable. I'm sure that there are many aspiring business owners who watch Tim's content and look up to him and view him as a mentor. I'm sure many believe the claim that 7.5% of MLMers make $50K or more because they trust what Tim has to say. But the fact of the matter is, this claim has yet to be substantiated. There's nothing that indicates that this claim is at all true. And in fact, the data I've seen, income disclosures, independent research, etc., overwhelmingly points in the opposite direction. My goal is to protect consumers, so I'm definitely anxious to view this data as well when or if it becomes available. I meant what I said in my email to them. If they ever do send over the data, I'm going to be sure to let you all know that I received it. But honestly, whether or not the data ever gets released is beside the point. The real problem here is Tim shouldn't have made the claim in the first place when he didn't have the evidence in hand to support it. The claim that 7.5% of MLMers make $50,000 or more is kind of a big claim, considering that most MLM income disclosures show that a fraction of a percent average $50,000 or more. For example, Monet's 2019 income disclosure shows that 0.2% of their reps average $44,000 annually. Young Living's 2019 income disclosure shows that 0.1% of their reps average $46,000 per year. And independent research that accounts for distributor expenses and attrition rates has revealed that less than 1% of those involved in MLM make any money at all. In short, Tim's big claim requires big evidence. It's a bit shocking to me that Tim, who is an educator himself, doesn't seem to understand the importance of backing up claims with evidence and then properly citing where he got his evidence from. I've asked Savy from Savy Writes Books to come on and discuss the importance of backing up your claims from an author and small business perspective. As well as running her YouTube channel, Savy is the author of several books and runs her own business called Forever Home Friends. So she really has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the ethics behind making claims and citing your sources as an author and professional.
Today, we're going to talk about why you need to girl back that statement up. First of all, Taylor, thanks for having me on your channel again. I always love it when we collab. Don't forget to check out my channel, Savy Writes Books, where I will be having a different half of our collab where Taylor and I are going to delve into the RX income disclosure statement and talk a little bit about some of that, and also do some parodies of Tim Sales and Eric Worre on The Tim and Eric Show. Anyway, today I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of being ethical and citing your sources and not making false claims as an author and as a business owner. As many of you guys may know, since my channel is Savy Writes Books, I write books. I'm an author. I have my 10th book coming out this June, and I'm also a business owner that runs Forever Home Friends, a company that produces books and plushies based on real rescue dogs. I have been an author since 2016 when I put out my first book, and I've been a business owner since 2017 when I first launched my company. Along the way, you learn a lot of things about what is ethical and what is unethical in business, and of course there are going to be a lot of mistakes made along the way. It's important to keep in mind what your intention is and what type of trust you want your audience to have in you. And part of that trust comes from being able to admit that you're wrong when you're wrong. It also comes from knowing that someone else might know more about something than you, and if you disagree with them, being willing to engage in a conversation that includes those facts and those sources. Here's an example of when I did that. I released my business book, Savvy Business Owner, this past September, and in that book I had a section where I briefly talked about how one of my business guru idols, someone that I think is awesome and look up to, is Damon John, the CEO of FUBU and current member of the Shark Tank Venture Capital Squad. While at the time I really liked him, I later saw a video of him and Grant Cardone trying to sell some scammy business courses to people that I thought were awful, so I made a YouTube video explaining why I was wrong in that book to idolize him and why I was learning from my mistake and saying, hey, sometimes we're going to change how we feel about things, and this video is me issuing a correction. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you need more information. And now this is not me saying outright that I know for a fact Tim Sales is wrong. I'm saying that Tim Sales is not providing that more information to us that we have been requesting. One reason I really like working with the Antibot on videos and collaborating on videos together on our channels is that we're both people who really care about having things correct, and we really care about engaging in difficult discussions even when it's a discussion with someone we might disagree with, and we're both willing to admit that we're wrong when we're wrong. For example, Tim Sales taught us that we were wrong when we first got in the comment wars with him, because I had been referring to John M. Taylor's study, the one that claimed that 99% of people involved in MLMs make no money. the statistic is still true. I wasn't wrong about that. But I had been referring to it as an FTC study. Well, Tim came at me for that, and he said that study was not officially sanctioned by the FTC. That study was done independently by John M. Taylor, who is not officially affiliated with the FTC. So I looked into it, and as it turns out, Tim was right about that. So you know what? I decided to girl start apologizing, and I told Tim, okay, you're right about that. I even said it in multiple videos. So that is an example of Tim provided me evidence of how he was right about something, and I said, okay, Tim, you know what? I think you're right about this. Tim also decided to tell me that he knew of a company where 7.5% of MLM reps were making $50,000 or more a year. Now, I said, okay, I'll believe you, and we can engage on this if you want to present evidence. He didn't present the evidence. Now, let me real quick talk about an example of how in my life as a business owner, I'm currently trying to work with expert sources on things and cite them and give that information to people. I recently put up a video on my channel about Rachel Hollis abandoning her rescue dog, and by abandon, I know that sounds wrong. I don't mean that she unethically put the dog out into the forest and ran away. I mean that she gave the dog back to the original family because that dog wasn't right for her family, and you can watch my video on that, but I had mixed feelings about the whole situation. One thing that I took away not just from that situation, but also from some of my own difficulties raising Chewy, who is a dog who has emotional anxiety and a lot of emotional issues and past trauma, is that I am not an expert at dog training, which I never claimed to be and never thought I was or anything like that. But I learned that, as a business owner who specializes in a business about rescue dogs, people might think from a distance, oh, maybe Savy is an expert in dog training, which I'm absolutely not. So after seeing that situation and seeing how people do need more education about when to find a rescue dog that's right for your family, and after seeing a situation where I've had some difficulties with training Chewy and have been working on it and have been trying to work through his issues with him over time, it came to me, why don't I partner up with a source, with a person who is an actual dog trainer, to create some resources for people? So that's one thing that I'm working on right now with a trainer. We're working on some blog content and creating some resources, and I'm paying her to do that and all of that. So I've brought someone new to the team as a result. So I think that there are times when, as a business owner, you need to realize that some type of knowledge either might be outside of your wheelhouse or might not be something that you're an expert in, and then say, okay, where can I go to the source? And then when you go to that source, don't pretend it's you. Don't steal it for yourself. You give that source. So this is all to say that, Tim, you need to give us the source. Anyway, I know that this was a hot mess of a rant on my end, but the fact is, I really care about people not spreading misinformation. Now, I just want to be very clear in case Tim's watching this video. Tim, I'm not saying straight up that you're spreading misinformation. I'm saying that as of right now, because you still have not provided us with the evidence we requested and were promised, I don't have any reason to believe that what you're giving us isn't misinformation. Just like if I were to start giving people dog training advice without citing the source of the trainer that I'm hiring to create resources and blog content for us, then people would have no reason to believe that I'm not spreading misinformation, especially if I refuse to show people the trainer that I'm working with or show those sources. I hope this all made sense to you guys. I'm sure Taylor's being much more coherent than I am on this Monday night with my iced coffee, but I will see you guys again over on my channel as well for this. In the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses. Taylor, thanks so much for having me on your channel once again. I love you guys. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Savy. You guys, don't forget to check out Savy's video on her channel. Again, a link to it will be in the description and pinned in the comment section down below. I think Savy made a really good point that in a professional environment, we're obligated to give credit where credit is due and not make claims that we can't substantiate. Just as Savy teamed up with a dog trainer and properly cited them as a resource, Tim needs to properly cite the source of the information that he is spreading to his followers. And if he doesn't have the resource on hand, he needs to stop spreading this possibly false information to people. As I was researching and writing the script for this video, I actually stumbled across another YouTuber named Ariel Bessette, who is a writer and a filmmaker. She produced a video on the importance of properly citing evidence in essay writing, and something she said in her video really summed up my own thoughts on this whole situation. Hey, editing, Taylor here. I wanted to make a brief point before I play Ariel's clip. I know that this is more about essay writing, but I think it's applicable to YouTube videos as well. A lot of us construct, especially Tim, construct our videos similar to how you would write out an essay. And so I think the points that she makes are still relevant.
Number 1, make sure that whatever your evidence is backing up your point and backing up your thesis statement. Although you might find a really interesting quote about your topic, if it doesn't directly support what you're arguing, you shouldn't use it. Secondly, the placement of evidence is really important. Do not, and I mean do not, just drop it in randomly. I'm kind of talking about this, I'll just plop this quote in. Never do that. Your evidence should be well supported. It's ridiculous, maybe, that your support needs support, but it really does. In our episode on essay structure, we broke down how to construct a paragraph. And think about that when you are putting in evidence. So you have your topic sentence in a paragraph, you make a point, you then introduce some relevant evidence, and then, and this is the key point, you explain why your evidence is important. Never assume that your reader will know why you think that evidence was important. If you do this, I can assure you that you are going to get a better grade. Now, I really don't think that our main aim in essay writing should just be to get a better grade, but I know it's really important to people. And a lot of people ask me, why didn't I do great on this paper? I had evidence. But if you don't back your evidence up, if you don't explain why you picked it, if you don't explain where it came from, then it's useless.
Exactly. Tim's claim that 7.5% of MLMers make $50,000 or more is useless. Up until the day the data is released, if it ever is, Tim's claim should be considered frivolous. His claim hasn't been shown to be true, and so it shouldn't be taken as truth. Tim has the burden of proof here. So up until the day he provides that proof, his continued use of this statistic is no better than a flat-out lie. Thanks so much for watching, and a huge shout out to my patrons for supporting my channel. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, ring the bell, follow me on Twitter at the Antibot, follow me on Instagram at TaylorLee_1993, consider pledging to my Patreon, and I'll see you all on the next one. Say bye! Every single time.